Hey guys, it's Duct Tape Guns here, and today we have the field stripping video of my MP5K PDW. I explained in the last video that I was going to make a field stripping video right after that video. Took a little bit of time, but here's that video. I was going to show you guys how to take it apart in the previous video, but I couldn't fit it in that time frame without the video being like 30 minutes long. So I figured I would just make a separate video. I could go into more detail, have a better camera angle, better lighting, show you guys in detail all the components. So before I go into that, I'm just going to talk about the dimensions and the functions of the weapon. So let's go to the functions first. We have charging handle, locking charging handle, in tandem with the bolt, as you can see through the ejection port. We have magazine release, so magazine doesn't come out until you pull this out. Push this, magazine release. We have trigger and safety for the trigger. We have 4 different adjustable sight apparatuses, or apparati, whatever you want to call it. And finally, a folding stock. Pull this pin out. And fold it, put it on this little notch. More compact weapon, stays pretty well. Okay. And now for dimensions, we have the MP5K PDW with its stock fully extended out. It's about 23.7 inches, about 24 inches. Width is about 2.8 at its widest, and the height is about 8.3 from the bottom of the pistol grip to the top of the front sight. And the reason I have the measuring tape out is just as a courtesy, because I know when I'm building a weapon and I'm trying to find videos or pictures or dimensions of a weapon, I can never find exacts or measurements of areas that I need specifically. So they'll tell me an overall length, they'll tell me an overall width, but what if I need the exact length from here to here? Or maybe the exact length from the barrel to the magazine well? Well, it's very hard to find those values, so for this video, I guess as courtesy, if you guys want to happen to make an MP5K PDW, or even an MP5, because you could just use the same values minus the stock and the extended barrel, it's easier for you guys, so that's just a little courtesy, and also to show you guys the lengths and widths and measurements, dimensions of the components inside. So with that out of the way, we're going to begin field stripping it. So the whole weapon is held together by these holes drilled into the weapon, and these tiny pins that are basically, they're wooden dowels and they're painted a sheen black color. They match really well with the weapon, give it that nice gunmetal color so they don't look unnatural. So we begin by taking the stock, the ones that hold the stock together, and they also hold in the bolt. So we're going to put these here. So pull this out, and voila, we have the bolt and the bolt carrier. So it's attached to the spring, and that's basically the mechanism. So we take this off from the stock. We're just going to quickly field strip the stock just to get it out of the way. Oh, and also I have the butt stock here. I'm going to, when I put the weapon back together, I'm actually going to put it back together with the butt stock, as to show you guys it with butt stock. So we're going to quickly field strip this. It's super easy. Take these 2 out. I'm not really sure if you field strip the weapon stock like this in real life. But I just made it like that, so this is my, I guess, variant of field stripping it. So we're just going to leave these to the side because we're not going to put that back together because we're putting it with the butt stock on. So here we have the bolt carrier and the bolt itself, and it's all attached to this spring. Spring rod, I like to call it that. I'm not sure if that's actually what it's called, but it's basically just 3 springs working together. On the real MP5K PDW, it's actually 1 big spring, but I don't have that. I have 3 separate little springs. So they do the job just as well, and I mean, it's not that much of a flaw in design as long as the function is operational. So here we have the spring rod. It has like this tiny tape on it, and it goes into the bolt carrier, which is a washer here. Well, it's not a washer, but it has a washer on the end of a PVC pipe. And you put this in here, and it has a really easy time going in, but not a very easy time coming out, which is really good when you're pushing the spring back and forth like that. And to take it out, you just kind of pull and twist as to not mess up the tape. So, spring rod here. So here we have the bolt and bolt carrier. So, as I explained, the bolt carrier is a PVC pipe with a washer on tip. This is just some cardboard cutout. It's it's in 90% resemblance to the real MP5K PDW's bolt and bolt carrier. I just had to modify it so that it fit my needs. Anyways, so here we have the bolt. Twist it just like the real weapon. Comes off. So this is the bolt. Put that here. Here we have what is called the locking piece. And the locking piece basically sits on top of the firing pin and this little spring on the firing pin. So we're going to put all the components of the bolt together, about right here. So again, we have the bolt carrier. This is all one solid piece. Bolt, locking piece, firing pin spring, and the firing pin. So now we can take the rest of the lower receiver off, and I can show you guys the trigger mechanism. So let me go up to the camera. So here we have the lower receiver. So the trigger, it's functioned by this little piece here. This little, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, under the safety. It's basically a little piece of a pen, and it's basically the pivot point of the trigger. And there's you can see in here, it moves up, and there's a tiny little spring deep in there, and that's just basically how it works. For the safety, it's basically just the two ambidextrous notches, not notches, handles here. They work in tandem, and they hold together this little clamp piece, if you will. And if you see, when it's on full auto or semi-auto, it's not in the way of this tiny, this piece that goes forward when you pull the trigger. But if you put it on safety, it completely clamps down, and it's unable to go forward, therefore locking it into a safe position so you cannot fire it. Put it back, it's off the clamp, and it's ready to fire again. So that's basically just the trigger mechanic and safety mechanic. Pretty simple. Took a little bit of time for me to perfect that so that it wouldn't be fragile, but yeah, it would still, work. It came out really well, proud of that. So next we have the magazine. Just comes out. I can't really take apart the magazine well because on the real MP5K PDW it is welded into the upper receiver, if you will. I can take the sights off. That's actually pretty easy. They just slide right off. Just give it a little slide and come off. I guess I'll take the charging handle out. On the real MP5K PDW, you don't really need to take the charging handle out for a full fuel strip. I just made it like that, just in case there's a mechanical error. I can take the weapon apart, much easier for me. So I just twist it. It's kind of hard to twist off, but that's the point. You don't want it coming off mid-operation. So here is the charging handle, and I guess what's called the part that pushes the bolt back. I'm not really sure what this would be called. Has a nice beveled edge as to have as little friction as possible when it's moving. This piece is just a PVC pipe with some tape on it for design, and this is just a cylindrical piece on a piece of a pen, and slides right in here to a hole drilled into there, and you have the charging handle. For the rest of the upper receiver, it's just the foregrip. It's no real mechanism here, just two uniquely long pins to hold these together. I know on the real MP5K PDW there would not be a hole drilled into the barrel because you can't fire it if there's something in the way. But for the sake of having this stable, on the real one there's only one pin here, but it would be very unstable. So I put two. Fine, it's a design error or whatever, but it keeps this in, and the weapon doesn't actually fire. So what's the loss really? So put that here, and all we have left now is the front sight. So that comes off, and this actually holds the barrel and I guess the top piece of the receiver working. So put that here. And this piece, I'm not sure if this is welded on the real MP5K PDW, but I do know that I can take it off. It has no real effect if it's glued on or if I were to be able to take it off, so I just decided to make it take it off. But, an extra piece, why not? And we are basically done. So just to recap, we have the whole big piece, I guess the upper receiver, if you will, magazine, foregrip front piece, locking piece, front sight and barrel holder, if you will, charging handle, lower receiver and trigger group, bolt carrier, pins for the foregrip, bolt, firing pin spring, locking piece, spring rod, buttstock, we're going to put that back on, and the pins that hold the three pins that hold everything together, if you will, and the springs. and the sights. And we're not gonna put it back together with the stock, but it's pretty simple to put it back together. Might as well show you guys. Take pins out, put them back in. That's a simple concept. Big piece goes through the top, like that, and this is basically just a hinge piece because it's hinged here and it goes through. We take this part out, it swings, so you get the idea. So we're not going to put it back together with the stock, though. I want to show you guys with the butt stock. So get that out of the picture. Putting it back together is actually just as easy as taking it apart, if not easier. So I usually start by putting this front piece on first, and then I put the front sight on. I get the foregrip out of the way because I want as little springs as possible. So we take that, let me just adjust it so that it's nice and straight. Big part goes through, kind of funny, the barrel, and so now it's really stable. I guess we won't put the magazine in yet. Okay, so next is the charging handle. So this is actually kind of fun. You have to like kind of slide it in, just drop it in, and adjust it, and then you just put this in. Make sure it goes through both sides. Yep, just like that. Now we have to put the bolt together because before we can put the lower receiver on, we have to have the bolt in. So pretty easy. Put the locking, not the lock piece, the firing pin in the bolt carrier. Spring's kind of a pain to get on, but once it gets on, it's good. Locking piece, bolt, put it on like this and swivel it over. You don't really have to do that, but I just, for detail. So bolts put back together. What's it called? Spring rod. So put the 3 springs on. They slide on pretty well. Just like that. And you put this piece with the little crowning part into the washer part of the bolt carrier. And now, we push these springs back, take our buttstock, push it into a little notch I put into there. So now this is all operational. Take this, put this in here, and now we can put this lower receiver on, or the trigger group. Not really sure how it works for submachine guns. I know for ARs it's upper receiver, lower receiver. I just call it that. I'm not sure if it's actually that, but take these in, put these pins. It doesn't really matter. These 3 pins are all the same length, so it doesn't matter what position they all go into. That's why I put the foregrip pins in first, because they're the only ones that are different lengths. Finally, the magazine and the sights. And there we go. The weapon functions just as it did. Everything is working. So yeah, that's basically the weapon field stripped and put back together. You can see with the buttstock, it gives more of an MP5K kind of look. And we just, get rid of this extra length, because it's a 4.5 barrel, so it's a little longer. We just get rid of that. It's basically the MP5. Okay. So, thank you guys for watching. This is my field strip video. I hope you guys really liked what I did with this weapon and the major upgrade that I did. And it's just cool to take it apart and show you guys, as well as it's a fun project for me. So again, thank you guys for watching. Again, if you want to talk to me about anything, I have a Twitter @DuctTapeGuns. I'll put it in the description below. And once again, thank you guys for watching. This has been the MP5K PDW field strip video.